Welcome to the Messengers. It is July 7th, 2026. It's the day of Jupiter. It's the hour of Jupiter.
Double Jupiter.
And we're going to start, as we always do, to our patron planet, Mercury,
The best.
the best. Praise be upon you, Mercury, the master, the virtuous, the honest, the smart, the articulate, the understanding, the debater, the knowledgeable with all arts, the cautious, the writer, the good manners, knowledgeable with all matters above and below, the honorable master, the useful for money, the useful for trade, the cunning, the intelligent, the helper, the patient, and the skillful. I also call you with all your names in Arabic, Utherd, in Persian, Tir, in Roman, Arus, in Greek, Hermas, in Indian, Buddha. I ask you in the name of the divine power, grant us the swiftness and flexibility of both body and mind. Teach us your manifold arts and reveal the font of divine intelligence from which they spring. And so it is.
Wonderful, thank you. I kind of find it funny that maybe every time Buddhists are praying, they're also kind of praying to Mercury.
Yeah, from the Hindu perspective.
There's a lot of people praying to Mercury on a very regular basis.
On a very regular basis, yeah.
So you had a couple topics you wanted to go over. I barely got a chance to look at them. I'm just getting back from camping. You also were looking up some stuff in the kitchen, and so there might be a few different things for us to kind of chat about.
Yeah, I sent you that text message about things to think about that maybe happened this weekend for you, just like topic or general constructs, and which one was the loudest and what you think kind of resembles that. Did you happen to have anything come to mind?
I didn't, but if you run through them again, I would thought something will right now.
Yeah, so the concept is like, what was loudest for you this weekend? Something sudden, abrupt, and unexpected, something philosophical in nature, something spiritual in nature, uh, and like, or something that you needed to like do multiple times, like redoing tasks, like which basically the idea is like to feel out which of the planetary significations that we experienced this weekend, because there were so many, was the loudest for you.
This weekend I had a ton of community, just a bunch of community. It's my 5-year-old's birthday, little May Ray, and so we had a birthday party and was able to come together with her mom, which is always wonderful. Like it was very harmonious, which was nice, right? So I had like a very non-contentious party with my ex co-parent, which is always wonderful. And then went right into a wonderful party with friends. There was a ton of community, a ton of beautiful synchronicities, just a lot of love and community in a lot of ways. And then the only thing I could say that happened where I had to do over and over again is right now I'm in the middle of like packing and repacking. We live in a beautiful area of the country, and come summer, I'm gone like the whole time. Yeah. And so it's just like a constant cycle right now of packing and repacking, packing and repacking. I was just out with the girls down the Santiam River. And so I would say a lot of philosophical. It was really lovely. I had some wonderful adventures with my daughters. They're both growing, and we were out on rocks climbing. And Florence, my 9-year-old's really like coming into herself, and had a few pretty heavy talks with her about spirituality, about philosophy, and even at a young age, she's got a pretty good grip for it. But yeah, I would say in general, it's just a lot of community is what I experienced this weekend, both on a personal level, like with my family, and then on a more community level. And it was really lovely because I've been looking for that for a while. So it was nice. What about you? What'd you get?
Oh, well, I also just got back from a trip, but mine was a lot heavier.
Hmm.
I'm experiencing the process of one of my most dear family members is getting closer to the last of their life, and so uh, abrupt travel was definitely the main theme, but it flowed really easily, which was nice. And yeah, I try to stay away from saying a lot of ums and stuff like that, but my pauses are here because of just how heavy and how beautiful the weekend was. But it was with my elderly grandmother, and I spent, almost 40 hours, 48 hours straight with her in the hospital, just by her bedside and just like conversing, which which is the the nature of our relationship
Hmm.
is to speak to each other
Yes.
and just to share ideas and talk and stuff like that. And so to be able to still have that was really cool.
Some good last memories.
Yeah.
Really getting to sit and have some conversations with people are important,
Yeah.
especially in this global era. You know, it's like I think we take for granted actually being with a person and just sitting and having nowhere to be and just talking.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And one of the last times um one of the last times I was up there, I was doing her chart for her.
Okay.
And we kind of just spent a whole week together, just like talking about her chart and just like conversing. And
What did she feel about it? I mean, how old was she when you did this? Because we're talking about your grandmother, so how old?
I think she was 88.
She was 88 and was
Yeah.
being introduced to an astrological chart for the first time?
No, no,
No,
no, no.
okay.
She had sent me, she was coming into her own around, the 60s and 70s. She was born in 1936.
Okay.
So, by the time the 60s were happening, she was in her late 20s, early 30s. And so and she was in Seattle. And so, it's a good area to be
Sure.
in for like a lot of stuff. And, um, so she had been introduced to, multiple different like spiritual things and was raised in a very so-called like Irish Catholic kind of like family setup,
All right.
but they weren't like, they weren't devouts, they were just Irish.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. I grew up in the Northeast. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I know a lot of Irish Catholics.
I think
Not many who go to Catholic Mass on a regular basis.
I think her dad was actually was like a direct immigrant from
Okay,
Ireland.
so she was first generation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
first
first
generation.
generation.
And same with her mom was a first generation, or she was also a first generation from her mom who was a German immigrant.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So brand new.
Yeah, brand new.
Seattle.
Well, no, but then eventually Seattle,
Sure.
but like Ohio or something like
Yeah.
that is where she grew up. But yeah, she had been introduced to astrology at an earlier time. She had a friend, she worked for the Seattle Times for a long time and was the head of PR for the Seattle Times. And so she knew the horoscope writer for the Seattle Times, and he had done her chart for her a long time ago. So she sent me that, to read
She still had
through.
it.
Oh, yeah, she still
Oh,
had
that's
it.
really
Yeah.
cool.
So
I
cool.
feel like I don't have anything people ever give me. It all disappears into the ether eventually. So I was just talking about
Just
that.
gets
It does. I
disintegrates.
don't know what happens. It just goes away. I woke up one day and all the contacts in my phone were just gone. I'm serious. That's a real story. Anyway, we'll continue.
Yeah, that's uh, for astrologers listening. Ezekiel has the North Node in the fourth house, so disappearing history is a connotation of the North Node in the fourth house.
Yeah, it's
Fourth house.
awesome. It's super
Um,
great. Get to rearrange my library and notice that things have disappeared.
have you ever done a exploration of like your lineage, of where your family came from, or anything like that?
Kind of. I've got a pretty hit and miss lineage because my mom is a mixed, just mixed ethnicity coming through. Very old family, and so related to a bunch of founding members of the United States. My great 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 grandfather, whatever on that side, I was always taught signed the Declaration of Independence. Just very kind of English Welsh blood that came over very early. And then I don't know my biological father, and so I knew
Okay.
him up
Yeah.
until he was about 5. I was born with a Portuguese last name rather than an Italian last name, and I don't really have much at all on that side. On
And
my
so, just to cut in with the astrology on that, the fourth house is traditionally the father,
Yeah.
and so the
Oh, I have
the
such bad broken father complex, man. It's all over the place.
yeah.
It's a mess. I'm healing it every day. And then my dad, who I was raised with and raised me, he has an Italian heritage that goes back Italian Irish. So I
Mm.
grew up in the Northeast, and so it was primarily Italians, Irish, and Jewish. That was the majority of the population, with some like Polish people. And we used to make fun of each other. We used to call each
Yeah.
other Polacks, and
Yeah,
wops and
yeah.
stuff like that. Like we thought it was really funny. And I came out here to the West Coast, and ethnicity is different. Like it's
Mhm.
more of a melting pot
Yeah.
on the West Coast, which I
Yeah.
love in a lot of ways, but people didn't really ask even if you were like Italian or Irish.
Yeah, no, as soon as you start heading out west, the it just all kind of like becomes milky.
Yeah, well, it's more of a melting pot. It's much
Yeah.
more. Where I grew up, there was still much more distinct. Like we're Italian, we're Irish. They like still married that way, which I find to be kind of interesting. On the West Coast, you just don't see that. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot, other than the indigenous groups that still live out here that are awesome. And then also you still find a lot of that very iconic, like where we came from identity in the Asian communities down in California and
Oh,
stuff like
100%. I
that.
live down there. Yeah. The
But
the street signs are in their languages, not English. They
yeah,
have dominated those communities. Yeah.
but the thing that I like to say about as far as like the Caucasian or white population that's out here is like a lot of them came through the like the Oregon Trail sort of
Hmm.
setup, and that was kind of like the poorest of the poor people who just like they just needed
Let's
to
take our
make it
whole
out
family
here.
on a risk.
Yeah,
Hope it
exactly,
turns out.
exactly. Let's
If a
not end
few of
up.
us die, it's fine.
Yeah, and make sure to not open up a McDonald's.
I downloaded
Um,
Oregon Trail for Florence's
oh, nice.
Switch recently, by the way. Yeah, she doesn't like it. She's like, I got bit by a snake and died. I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
there's a snake in my moon. That's what happens. Got to keep going. Got to make it.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Whoever makes it, good on you.
Side note, my mom, I total colonial family on my mom's side. I'm also related to one of the guys who was one of the first colonials into the Central Oregon area.
Oh, wow,
Strangely enough.
wow.
Yeah, I've kind
And
of
here you are.
followed my own trail in like this weird way with some of my lineage. And there's some Native American blood that kind of goes in there. But I don't know really the good history. And when my mom brought that up, I wasn't too privy to be excited about it. I don't know. I felt like at that point in my existence, I'd realized that like white people being the first people to show up usually isn't a good indicator of your lineage. It's like how many people did we dominate on the way, you know?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so anyway, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting things with my lineage. And you were referencing though that your grandmother came from a German and an Irish, and she was in Seattle.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then eventually, yeah, the family moved to Seattle. There was work there and stuff like that.
Oh,
That was the, you know, uh, being born in the 1930s means that you were born during the Depression era, and like
yeah, I can
her
imagine.
family was having trouble, figuring out how to like, live. So yeah, so they made it out to Seattle. So she, her early adulthood involved a lot of, hippie stuff and things like that. She was very political.
What's hippie stuff?
Uh, you know, um,
Can you define hippie stuff?
no, not really. I'm not gonna try. I'm just gonna say that she was very politically active. She was very active in like
That was a very, yeah, I mean, that was a
women's rights.
charged moment of history. There was so much going on in that moment. And she was at her 20s and 30s.
Yeah,
So she was in her prime,
yeah,
I mean, in some ways, during some of the most charged political moments of our country.
yeah. And her, one of the moments that she's really proud of, or one of the things that came up in that conversation, because the conversation was one of the things that I think was really cool about. So the whole process, just to like, because I don't want this whole episode to just be about this moment with my grandmother. We can talk about it a different time. Uh, but just the cool thing was through that week, it was just telling her things about her chart and having her reflecting memories. That's one of the beautiful things about working with an
Y-
older
Well,
person.
yeah, she's 88 years old. She's
Yeah.
got such a lens on her experience. She can look at the whole path that she's walked.
Yeah, it's really great. So if you're an astrologer and you haven't worked with a lot of retrospective type of readings where you're just doing more of like an interview of an older person, I highly recommend it because you
Yeah,
can
that's
learn
got
a
to be
lot.
fun. Yeah.
One of my earliest readings was a retrospective reading, and I was so nervous about it because I was like, oh my gosh, it was so early on, and I was like, what am I going to tell this person that's in their 70s? Like, but then it ended up being more about like, tell me about this part of your life, and like it should have felt like this, and they're like, oh
Did it
my
give him some
gosh.
peace? Like maybe, yeah, it kind of gives you a. Okay, I know I've had some retrospective things, some large ones in my chart that gave me nothing but a good feeling. Like, okay, that wasn't all just me being an asshole, or whatever it was.
Or it was.
Yeah, in moments. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not speaking to your chart specifically.
Sure,
Um,
you can.
but yeah, so just to finish up the concept of the 60s though, and like the to kind of give an outline of a a gentle stroke of the complexity that is my grandmother. Uh, she and her friends started a women's Democratic voting league
Oh, wow.
when they were really early on, really young, and it ended up getting the attention of Senator Kennedy.
Hmm.
And so while he was still exploring like running for president, because this is John F. Kennedy,
Yep, I'm understanding.
and he actually got together with the other representatives of Washington State, like the governor and like one of the other senators of Washington State, and sat down with her group,
Oh, wow.
and it was just her and one of her and two of her other friends, like as the representatives,
Mhm.
and it just became a meeting of just the three of them and Senator Kennedy, because he was like, "You gentlemen probably have something else to go do to help the Washingtonians or whatever." She said that like that was the quote that she told me. Because the conversation was like being centered around just like the three politicians just like talking to each
Yes.
other, and so he specifically President John F. Kennedy, soon to be President John F. Kennedy, like basically like ushered the other representatives out of the room so that he could just have
Oh,
this
that's amazing.
conversation. And he's like, "So why do you want to vote?" And it's just like one of those iconic things, like hearing that perspective from my grandmother of like, you know, not having the right to vote, wanting the right to vote, and then having somebody so prominent that we still remember today, asking these young women, why do you want to vote, And it's to me it's a really good like window into where we are, where we've come from, and that sort of a thing.
Mhm. No, I mean 100%. Yeah, I can't imagine living through that era. We're kind of living through a similar era right now. It's a mess out there, and so it's kind of interesting.
Cycles.
Yeah, it's a similar cycle that we've gone through before, and now it's just global, and we have 4K cameras, and everybody's able to communicate with each other, and that's not helping actually. I think it's making everything much worse. I thought at first that global communication will make it better, but now it's very much so at that point where nobody knows what's true. You're getting these massive two-sided viewpoints where everybody's just kind of in echo chambers yelling at each other, which has been said ad nauseum. I'm just curious when it's going to start evening out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because, one of the things that I like to point to about that specific topic is the Neptune Saturn cycle. One of the things that happened during Reagan's second administration while the Neptune Saturn cycle was
R-
coming together.
Pause. What do you, real? We've never talked about this. What's your opinion of Reagan?
Oh, I think that he really started the whole the puppet president
100%.
process.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not a big fan of the Reagan administration
Yeah.
in general. There was a lot of shady stuff happened during the Reagan administration in like a lot of ways. Okay, continue. We haven't discussed a lot of these things, so I get to ask them as we go along
Yeah,
because it is
absolutely.
it is important to understand when we're having a conversation what somebody's viewpoint is on somebody, especially the larger ones. People
Yeah.
like Reagan are kind of country shapers
Yeah,
a lot.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's one of the things is like it wasn't the Saturn Neptune conjunction specifically, but it was part of the leading up to it. And so one of the big things that the Reagan administration did that kind of led us to where we are now, that we're back to a Saturn Neptune conjunction, is dissolving the Fairness and Reporting Act.
Mm.
And so the fairness and reporting part of the doctrine of the SEC stated that all political concepts on TV or on the airwaves needed to always have a fair and balanced weighing
Yeah,
between
that'd
the
be
two
good.
sides. And it's not too hard to find. Like, you can just look up Frank Zappa politics on YouTube and you'll find him with a bunch of other political pundits like discussing politics on news on talk shows.
Hmm.
And so like because it used to be that like if you wanted to present a political concept on the FCC airwaves, so radio, television, all those things, you needed to have a representative from both sides every time. and they needed to be given
Fair.
equal
Fair.
time to the
Well,
topic.
this is what really drives me nuts is pause really quickly. We're gonna take a quick pause and we're back. Um, so the main issue that I have with a lot of what's going on inside of the political space is the fact that 50% of the world disagrees with you. No matter who you are, basically, it goes across. I mean, 50% of the world disagrees with you. And so we have to hold space for everybody's opinions, whether we like it or not. And I'm not saying that one is right or one is wrong. It's impossible to be able to tell at this point in some ways. No, it's not. But still, 50% of the 50% of the world disagrees with you on some points. And so when we don't have the ability for that other viewpoint to come forward, where you're having actual conversation, then you lose the ability to have any semblance of peace. It just turns into a yelling match
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and so that's kind of part of what led the way to where we are. The dissolving of the FCC rule about that
Okay, so real
can
quick,
help.
so you think, not you think, there is a conjunction between Saturn and Neptune that occurs at the same time as the FCC dissolving all these things?
It's around the same area.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the actual conjunction,
Okay.
but it's a bunch of things that kind of happened similarly around that. It's also around the time of the Satanic Panic.
What's the Satanic Panic?
You're not familiar with the Satanic Panic?
No.
We'll do a whole different thing about it.
Why?
But briefly, the Satanic Panic, it was a hysteria that was created
Okay.
around Satanism,
Heck yeah.
and it involved like partially because of this like murder trial that got publicized.
Okay.
And then a group of parents got super hyper like paranoid about Satanism.
Okay.
And
Was it prevalent? Was there like a lot of Satanism occurring in their community?
That's why it's called a panic.
Okay.
It became this like publicized experience that a lot of people bought into. It's like early flat earther, but it had some real deep ramifications.
Okay, nice. Well, yeah, because back in the day, big publicized things made more of an impact. Now we have so much hitting us on such a regular basis that things just kind of get flooded out by the news cycle.
Yeah. and some people clinging on to them and others don't.
Satanic Panic. That was a whole what years was this?
I believe the Satanic Panic started in 1988.
And the name of that's just so good. The Satanic Panic began in 1988. Okay, and how long did it?
I think that's what the Wikipedia.
How long did it last?
It was. I mean, it's still reverberating today. I mean, any sort of like fear about Satanism in general, or like all this like imagery that we hold space for of like tarot being evil and all these.
Well, so when I've ever heard of tarot being bad or had any negative connotations, cool to say negative, right? Negative's better. It's always been in relation to Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, there's also that, which is older than the Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
But there's this connection between Aleister Crowley, the band is skipping my brain. Mr. Crowley.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the name of it.
Wow, that's really killing me.
I don't have my phone on me.
When I think of it, we'll need to edit out this.
You don't have to.
Pause.
It's fine. But regardless, so the band related to Crowley was what made it worse, you're saying?
Well, they started connecting rock and roll to Satanism.
Well, yeah, that's not real. But I thought Aleister Crowley was actually a bad player.
Depends on who you're talking to.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's another thing of like experts on it.
It's another thing of like Madame Blavatsky,
So he's a similar player.
Yeah, it's he was in the Golden Dawn, the people who created the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot that most tarot decks are based on.
Yes.
And he was in that same order, the Golden Dawn, and then he broke off.
They had an order called the Golden Dawn.
Yeah.
Bro, what are we doing with our lives? Why don't we have a Golden Dawn order? Like, hey, Joe, you coming to the Golden Dawn meeting later? We're having kitchery.
See, this is what's great about having a friend who has no like real connection to the occult or anything. You
No, I,
can
don't- I
just
just
like
I never really messed with it.
there's this whole layer of reality that's been operating,
I've heard some of it,
yeah,
So when I
peripherally.
peripherally, well, it just to me links into the same people who are mad about Astro Crowley are saying that the Nazis made NASA. It tends to be similar threads, and not that it's all incorrect, right? So like you get the paperclip files, and we did take a lot of the doctors from over there, but you actually are very conversant and versed on the history. So I'd say it's more rare that I have somebody in front of me who actually knows what they're talking about. That's like a much more rare thing. We were talking. So Aleister Crowley, we'll get to him another day. The Satanic Panic. I want to come back to Aleister Crowley. Satanic Panic, we'll leave it. So it's still going on. It's probably just the birth of a big wave of fear because we've talked about
Yeah.
it ad nauseum that things are real if you believe it. And so, is the boogeyman real? Yes. I mean, people believe in him, and thus the concept is real. It invokes an emotional response inside of people, so that's real. Satanic Panic just set off this whole fun little wheel that Satanism is coming to get us.
Yeah, exactly. And there's to take a step back in case anybody's not familiar with the concept that one of the frameworks that Ezekiel and I work within is that consciousness, like everything is made out of consciousness.
It's a
So,
one mind concept.
yeah.
Yeah, and we actually, I need to get better at it, but I actually don't even use the word consciousness always. Sometimes I use mind to define consciousness.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a one substance, one mind concept.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so in that in that way of viewing
panpsychism.
reality, you you just know that any thought that you have, any belief that you've come across, any word that you've heard has now become real. So when you create something, when you write a fiction story, when you have a brief moment of paranoia that your hamster is going to kill you in your sleep, these things
What
are
what
now
what
real.
what has a hamster done to you? What happened? What was this hamster's name?
I don't know. That
Oh,
wasn't
okay. That
actually
was,
a fear of
I
mine. That's
lost
just I
a
just
hamster came
created
through to
that.
me in a reading. Never told you that?
No.
I had one die when I was younger. His name was Squeaky. Yeah, I brought him home and he got killed by my German Shepherd. She gave him a heart attack. She thought he was a puppy and she was carrying him in his mouth and he had a heart attack. And then I had to tell my whole like second grade class that I killed our pet. It was very traumatic. And the first reading I ever had from like a psychic, they were like, "There's a hamster here." And I was like, "It's Squeaky." You can't make that up. The hamster came through to let me know that it was okay, and it wasn't mad at me. It was like the first thing. It was one of those like prove it's real moments.
Well, I'm glad I can bring
Yeah.
Squeaky back into
Okay.
the room.
Yeah. Yes.
But that's a good example of like how reality is more than just the tangible physical experiential. It's everything in the mental too.
Well, I mean, it
And
is in a way a completely internal experience because we're having an external that's all being recorded and experienced internally in a way,
yeah,
And so, yeah, in a lot of ways, not a lot of ways, I am a panpsychist at this point, definitely an idealist, not a realist in a lot of ways. And though I do ascribe to some Buddhist realism, which is a little bit of a different model of things. But yeah, so when we're talking about things being real, the Satanism, by thinking about it all day long, you're actually just making it more real.
hmm
Yeah, you're just making it into something that's causing fear inside of your community or causing it, rather, if you just ignored it, it would just be what it is.
yeah, yeah. And at the very minimum, your thoughts are affecting you, and so
Yeah.
thus they're real
Well, yeah,
because
it's
you're experiencing them.
drinking the poison and hoping another person dies, I think is the typical term that gets used. So we were talking about, though, that the Satanic Panic happened around Reagan, and we were talking about Reagan because of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that occurred around that same time. And so that was referencing our current when, because our current when is pretty messy.
Exactly. Thanks for tying it all back to the moment. And to even tie it even further back to the beginning of when we started talking, I had primed you with those thoughts about which elements or themes of reality were most prevalent for you this weekend. And it sounded like it was mostly a lot of Jupiter and Leo trine Neptune and Aries. Because for you specifically, your Leo is in your 11th house of groups and community and stuff like that.
Mwahaha.
And Jupiter is the benefic who expands and congeals It's when we're at a basketball game and we're all on the home team crowd, like we're in a Jupiter experience together. If we're at the same concert, we're in a Jupiter experience together. It's like-minded people, coming together. And
I'm about
then
to be at the fair.
to even make it even more Jupiterian, when you bring in the philosophical or the expanding of consciousness, like the conversation you had with your daughter, that's even more Jupiter. And then the Neptune helps bring in the spiritual, Neptune and Aries, and which is very actionable. Aries, the sign. Neptune, the planet, is very elusive and hard to put into a box.
Neptune is?
Yeah.
You call me Neptunian. Am I elusive and hard to put in a box?
Yeah.
You've never tried to put me in a box.
I wouldn't dare. But whereas then my experience, yours was really highlighted on this Neptune Jupiter experience,
And
Whereas,
I'm a very Jupiter heavy chart. Yeah.
yeah. And then whereas my experience was more about this transition period that I'm dealing with my grandmother, but it was also very sudden and involved more of a further distance travel. And so that's where we find the ninth house is longer distance travel. And that's where Uranus is. And so Uranus, unexpected, immediate travel in the ninth house. And then also in Aries, with my Mercury, who rules Gemini, the ninth house of long distance travel, is Saturn, which is our general signifier for older people. So this blending.
Because it moves so slow.
Yeah, this blending of my Mercury being in Aries and Saturn, and then this year's signifier for me is Mars, which is in Gemini with Uranus right now. Like that became my story for the weekend, was this long distance travel to go spend time with my grandmother and, have a beautiful moment together. And then, so I just wanted to point that out as a way of like showing and seeing how, not all the significations of the transits are going to be hitting us all the same way.
Or mean the same things to the same different people.
Yeah, exactly.
Tilt your mic up a little bit towards you. Just tilt it up. There you go. Perfect.
And then on the global level.
Well, yeah. What happened with the fireworks? Didn't you send me a screenshot that like some dancers got hit or something?
Yeah, that was leading up. There was a near tragedy of some dancers almost getting hit by a stage falling apart. That was like part of the buildup to the fireworks. Okay? Yeah, they're
Blessings.
all okay.
And Will said that they also like no one showed up.
No one showed up, but also the.
What do you mean? No, hold on, stop there. No one showed. What does that mean? They did the largest fireworks show ever, and no one showed up.
Well, the weather was terrible, and so they had trouble with starting it. It didn't actually get started until July 5th, technically.
Oh.
Because it happened after midnight, so they missed their. They didn't actually get to celebrate
How bad, what
the 4th of July.
What was the weather?
The weather was just really rainy.
We got God calling.
The weather was just really rainy. Yeah, it was just not good fireworks weather, especially if you're trying to break a world record that the Philippines set in 2016. Like it. Did
they break the world record?
I don't know. I didn't look that up. I just enjoyed. I just reveled.
Does Trump get the record? Who gets the record?
I think the White House gets the record.
White House gets the record.
Yeah.
They get a little plaque on the wall.
I think they would say that the United States set the record.
How many world records do you think the White House has? They could get really dark and get some really good world records. They could be like most drone bombings.
The first one that came to mind was genocides.
Yeah, well, that's what I was curious. How many records they have?
Yeah, I don't want to go down that road. And I just want people listening to know that when we laugh after things like that, we're laughing at the absolute atrocity of something, and the only thing you can do is laugh at.
Yeah, and sorry, if you don't, you'll get me as we go along.
Yeah. But I'd like to shout out to Danny D Astrology or Danny Darling Astro at Threads. They put together a really concise list of some of the things that happened this weekend, and I was gonna go do my own research, but I decided that I would just shout them out. So Danny Darling Astro at Threads. You can find them. They have a YouTube under the same name as well as a TikTok. And so what they did is they compiled a couple of countries together that all have Uranus and Mars conjunctions in their birth charts, in their aligning charts,
Which we are one.
and which we are one. And so ours was the fireworks, the delayed fireworks, but the fireworks nonetheless. The attempting at breaking the world record. I think we did break
Yay.
the world. I think the White. I'm not going to say we here. I think the White House broke
mean,
the
we
world
paid for it.
record.
We paid for a small amount of it.
Yeah,
So technically we did do it.
yeah. Yay.
Yay. We did it. We did it.
But Venezuela also has Uranus, Mars in their birth chart, and they are suffering a really big earthquake tragedy that happened.
That stings.
And so this is where Pluto kind of gets roped in because it's making a trine to Pluto from Uranus and Mars, and we usually associate Pluto with earthquakes because it has to do with the underworld.
Are you saying that there's an underworld underneath us right now?
Underworld as a figurative concept.
Okay, I'm just curious.
I mean, there is an underworld beneath
There
us.
is.
There's the core of the earth.
Well, there's also a whole group of people that believe that there's tunnels underneath us.
There is a whole group of people that believe that, and
I gotta
interesting
ask.
enough, there's a I can't remember which tribe off the top of my head, but there is a North American story, like origin story that has to do with coming up from the tunnels from the earth.
Oh, almost all of them do. The Hopi were the ant people beforehand in the world before this one. There's many, many stories that talk about coming up from tunnels to the earth. They also have massive tunnel systems. I mean, there's massive cave systems out in Turkey that can fit like thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of cave stuff going on, but I was just curious. I didn't know. So Pluto is in charge. If there are caves, if I'm in a cave, Pluto's in charge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Okay.
a good way to think of it. Yeah,
Okay.
sure. If pre the outers, we would say that was a domain ruled by Saturn,
Okay.
because Saturn is the traditional planet of death in the
You've never really
underworld.
explained this. So Pluto is a planet astrologically, but not astronomically?
Yeah, we can go ahead and say that Pluto is a dwarf planet. It doesn't change its
It only affects you if you're in the cave.
attributions.
If you're in a cave, Pluto is in charge and you must know its attributes.
It doesn't affect the astrological correlations that we've discovered through watching its movements and its
Sure.
placements in the charts and how it affects people. Whatever title NASA gives it doesn't change its effect.
Okay, have you studied its effect on people in caves?
No, but there's definitely
It's only observation, people. Astrology is just pure observation. We would have to observe people in caves.
if you know any spelunkers or I believe there was a important Pluto signification. I don't know if you remember a few years ago there was a bunch of, I think it was in
The
Honduras.
children who were trapped in the cave.
Yeah, there was that. There was
Okay.
also there was also miners in
Yeah.
Honduras, I believe they were trapped
Yeah, so
in the
maybe we need
cave.
to start tracking people in caves.
So,
So
but
if
I believe that they had Pluto signatures.
it's like in
not the
Zelda when you
people
go into
themselves,
the
but
underground world and then you need to have different stuff.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Pluto's in charge. Saturn, get out of here. And it swaps the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe this is how we start exploring the caves, Devon.
Okay.
What if infrared?
Stay tuned for the.
What if your infrared vision turns on if you do the right prayer to Pluto in the cave? It's like
Stay
a cheat
tuned for
code.
the side quest podcast called the
Ezekiel in the cave.
Ezekiel in the Cave. Yeah. Plato and Pluto.
Okay, so
Or Pluto's Plato.
your friend there was Venezuela just had a large earthquake going on.
Really big.
okay.
Like 3,000 people
All
have
right.
passed.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
3,000?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. If not more. The last check I saw was like 2,500 and
Really?
climbing. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Prayers to those people.
Yeah. So if
It's
you
horrible.
have some extra funds, please send them to. We'll put a link towards like maybe the Red Cross or something.
Somebody,
like that.
yeah, we'll find somebody legitimate. Oh my goodness.
And then Cuba's still hurting. Cuba has Uranus and Mars together in their chart for their revolution and for their current political sphere.
Both moments they did it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And
It's just meant to
yeah. And I don't know if you've been aware of what's been going on with Cuba, but they've been,
So everybody, I don't what I literally have no social media and I don't own a television
yeah,
and I don't read the news.
yeah. So Cuba's been heavily embargoed by the U.S. and has been going through power outages and all kinds of like things from that nature. So there's just an escalation of that.
Oh wow.
Um,
Power is
uh,
good, especially on a hot island when air conditioning helps to save people's lives.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
if
Or
refrigeration is a
refrigeration.
thing,
Yeah,
it's great. We can have food. Yeah.
keeping everything running.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
And then Lebanon, there was an article released about Lebanon that Danny, once again, this is all Danny Darling astrology on Threads, that she posted that was uh, about Lebanon's the psychological cost of an old place like Lebanon being bombed and how many old like heritage sites are being
Yeah, dude, we're
destroyed.
just wrecking it over and over and over again. I mean, that's why everyone always wants to go to London when they go to Europe. And why? It burned down so many times. There's not anything cool to see anymore. No offense, London. I've been there a bunch. There's a cool old castles where you can see people were tortured by white people. But then if you really want to see cool stuff, you have to go to other areas of Europe that haven't been bombed and burned to crap. And we're now just doing it over and over and over again. I mean, how much of Egypt was just like bombarded with cannonballs for fun when people arrived?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They literally tear down statues for just for giggles.
Well, yeah, and I believe that's why the Sphinx looks the way it
A
does
hundred
too.
percent, it
Yeah.
does. 100%.
Yeah.
We can get
And
it. We can get into the watermarks on the Sphinx. That's pretty legitimate. That's a pretty good one. Okay, continue.
and then the one that I like to keep pointing out is that the UN is experiencing so the United Nations is experiencing its first
The-
Uranus and Mars
and they have
conjunction
it in there
return, and they
too.
have it in their chart.
Why?
Yeah.
These people need astrologers in their lives before they're signing documents. Continue.
So I responded to them to the original poster Danny Darling Astro uh, to let them know that the UN had it in their chart, and they responded back that there was a person with a Tibetan flag that self-immolated on the UN steps in protest of China's.
Again,
Yeah.
this happened again
Yep.
recently.
Yeah.
Oh
July
my!
3rd. Yeah.
Do we know the name of the monk?
I don't think it was a monk. It might have been a monk. I don't know the person, but
Okay.
that was the protest.
Somebody self-immolated, immolated. I don't even know how you say that word. Only read it. Oh, why does the world suck so much?
Now for a bright note.
Yeah, what do you got?
Not world news, but I wanted to change. I wanted to change in and go back to this Jupiter and Leo experience that we're having now.
Okay.
And what I wanted to do today was I just wanted to list off of names of people, and the thing that they all have in common is that they have Jupiter in Leo and Saturn in Aries.
Okay.
And so we've talked about this a little bit before, that this
Yes.
is a 60-year repetition.
Hmm.
It takes 60 years for this to come back around, and it only lasts for 1 year.
And reference it for people again,
So basically this trine configuration,
which is a triangle being made between three planetary bodies.
two
Two
planetary
planetary
bodies.
bodies.
Yep. Uh, the it happens every time Saturn will move into a sign, and then Jupiter will move into another sign that shares the same element of the sign that Saturn's in, because Saturn lasts roughly 2.5 to 3 years in a sign,
Hmm.
and Jupiter is moving one sign a year.
So, but we're talking about a Saturn and Jupiter trine, which is
Yeah,
occurring inside of Aries.
Aries and Leo.
Leo,
Yeah,
wonderful. So these two signs, these two planets in these two signs, is something that only happens every 60 years.
yeah, for 1 year every 60
Wonderful.
years.
Continue.
Yeah, and so what's really cool about that is this ends up showing us one of the things that the ancients used to say about Saturn and Jupiter is that they were really good for making great people. They
Hmm.
were or just really good for making powerful individuals. And fire signs are about will and vigor and energy and uh,
I thought I was
action.
fire. I'm not. I'm all water.
Yeah,
I'm just like I'm just
water and
just
earth.
water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so you have these configurations between Aries is an very action oriented, like action, doing stuff, being active, like
Okay.
going on hikes, getting into boxing
Got it.
matches,
Yep.
like just very
Consensually.
assertive.
Yep.
Not always consensually.
But you should. Yeah.
And then Leo is a stabilizing fire energy, so it's consistent and strong and
Disciplined athletics.
well, maybe not disciplined, but it's really good for sustaining whatever you're trying to do.
Okay.
Leo fire is associated with leadership that you can depend on.
Okay.
So that's one of the things. So I'm just gonna list a bunch of people that have this signature
What do we got?
from the 1968 era.
Okay.
Nicole Kidman,
Okay.
Carrie Ann Moss, Vin Diesel,
Vin Diesel.
Patricia Arquette.
Wait. No. Wait. Vin Diesel. Okay. Continue. Yep.
Tara Fitzgerald, Pamela Anderson, David Craig, Jason Statham, Betty Davis.
I'm pretty neutral on these going far. They're both going positive and negative for me. Pam Anderson.
Yeah, Pam
Really
Anderson.
Wonderful. Thank goodness.
Celine Dion,
Uh-huh.
Dave Navarro.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and there's more. I just wrote down all of
Weren't Dave Navarro and
first
Pamela
ones.
Anderson together?
I think they might have.
Yeah,
I
I think.
they
Did you
might
look
have
them
been.
up simultaneously?
Well, so no, there's just this really cool tool on astroseek.com where you can like look up a configuration
Uh-huh.
and whatever famous people's charts they have,
Okay.
they'll tell you which ones have this configuration.
Those were all born around the same moment.
in the same year, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Those were all born in the same year.
Same year,
Fascinating.
yeah. The same
Okay.
with the same Leo,
Okay.
Saturn and Aries, Leo, Jupiter and Leo configuration.
Very confident people.
Yeah, very confident. Very. I mean, we've got a lot of action players like Vin Diesel, David Craig, Jason Statham.
Those are all just actors, though.
Yeah, this was specifically a list.
Okay.
Of
Okay.
actors.
But yeah. But so those are, to me, they would all be defined as the same type of player
Yeah,
because they're an actor, and to me, that's like an archetype in and of itself.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I looked at other fields because you can refine the search by occupation.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Did
did
they have,
find
like,
that
postmen?
the actor field. No, they don't. It's based on what the algorithm is fed.
Yes, I
you know?
understand. I understand. What actors and who else do they have? Because you don't have that many public figures available. Politicians.
Yeah, politicians, philosophers, artists of many different traditions.
So you mean that if we do a good job
military
as philosophers, we can be like a caveat on a Wikipedia page somewhere
Yeah.
that we were born one year?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. We're going to be behind the porn stars though. Well, I don't know. At this point, I feel like I don't think that's really like a famous job anymore.
Porn star?
I mean, a little bit, but I feel like there's so many of them now. Back in the day, there was like, those one or two that it was a big deal.
I don't know. I'm not
No.
gonna.
No, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole?
I'm not gonna gauge. I'm not gonna gauge.
I was
that.
just curious. I haven't looked into the new world, but ever since all the self-made actors became available, I'm just curious. Anyway, we would definitely come after a lot of the actors if we were philosophers. Yeah. So
Well, it's not ranked by job. It's just the way that I had the list sorted it was ranked by popularity.
Yeah, I got it.
So it came up that way the most. And also the thing about Leo and Aries is the way that we utilize Hollywood and film and stuff like that is very new.
Okay.
Our version of entertainment is
Yeah.
very new.
refrigeration is new, Devon.
Yeah, exactly.
It's brand new.
Yeah.
One person ago.
Yeah.
Your grandmother did not have refrigeration and then got refrigeration.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
One person.
Yep.
That is brand new. And we've now been having entertainment on this level for, you could say, 50 or 60 years with the radio waves, right? But realistically, it was so controlled for so many years that I would say I wouldn't really give us, I would say the birth of the internet is when we began getting the entertainment the way that we do now.
Yeah, I think I would say that the the Hollywood experience from the 1930s forward is what set the foundation for what we have now.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
you know,
Fair.
the idea of like how we produce films, how we produce TV shows, you know, things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature. Um, and then the internet made it more accessible for multiple people to do it. But anyway, regardless, the idea is that one of the things we should be looking out for is, well, people with these signatures to become prominent because they're having what's called a recurrence transit, where when these things line back up again, usually
All of
something
a sudden,
important happens.
Pam Anderson's gonna be back in the news, hanging out. Look out for
Might
that
be.
one. Hashtag flip flops. Also, look out for Dave Navarro if he's still alive.
Yeah, putting out another album or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, if he's still doing music, that would
I
be
know
more.
Vin Diesel still puts out films.
Does he really?
Yeah.
How many Fast and the Furiouses are there now?
Too many.
There's a lot. Is there more than 8?
Yes.
There are.
Yeah.
Okay, because my daughter said Toy Story 5 was coming out, and I thought that was appalling. How many Fast and the Furiouses do we need?
At least one more. Apparently.
I guess. I wonder what they're doing now. We should watch it. I'm not gonna.
But yeah, I kind of just wanted to bring that in because it gave us a sense of like this is very fresh. This Jupiter in Leo, Saturn in Aries transit. It's very fresh. It's only lasting for a year, and we've never experienced it before.
If you're having babies, though, they're gonna be a cool baby.
There's a chance to have cool
You're
babies
having
this
cool
year.
babies.
So have some cool
If
babies.
you want to have a cool baby, do it.
Maybe during
When did
maybe
it start?
maybe during October.
Is that the best? Is that the best time?
Oh, I'm just
Oh, when did it start? In case any babies were
just
born.
last week.
Okay, so if your baby was born in the last week, you have a cool baby. Good job.
Yeah. 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 Expect absolute success and nothing
Guaranteed.
else.
You should get YouTube on that kid right away.
Yeah. It's like how everybody in. I've heard that. Still today, making sure that you have a child during a dragon year is very important, which it just happens to be, I believe.
Do people plan on having children?
Some people do.
They do?
Yeah.
Is that how that works?
Some people do.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do people plan? They see that. So I've heard this concept before, where you have two people come together and they're actually like, oh, I'm a divine being, you're a divine being. We're conscious. We're our highest selves in the best way that we can, and then we're going to come together to create another being. That was so the opposite of my experience. And I feel like the opposite of a lot of the world's experience at this point. Like, we don't really think about it that much.
No, there's a lot of people that plan on building families and stuff like that.
Sure.
I mean, for example,
Okay.
for a very insidious version of why I understand and know this,
Oh, okay. Does it have to be insidious?
yes,
Okay, continue.
is one of the most recent banking products that you can get involved with
Okay.
is a family planning loan,
Okay.
so that you can get a loan from the bank.
Plan your family. Yeah, that
To
is the
pay
hard part,
for-
because
to
people
pay for
always
all the
say, "Well, I
children's
don't have the
stuff.
money," and you go, "Well, it's never going to be a good time." They're very expensive, though.
Yeah, so
The whole $250,000 thing's BS. That's a lie.
So we're backed by Chase, just so you know that's not true.
Are we? That'd be cool.
But yeah, so what you can do now is you can go to the bank and be like, please sign me up for a bunch of debt so that I can have a child.
Nice. Can
Yeah.
we go together as a couple and try to get?
And then that way while you're signing up for that debt, there's this beyond like actually planning for the child's future and
No, just planning for the debt.
saving up for their college or things like that, you're already just trying to pay off just the idea of having them.
Yeah.
Just the idea.
Yeah. And in a weird way, that's just a trap for the other side, because the mass majority of children that are coming into this world are coming through whatever families they're coming through. I would say, how many families are actually even planning on that level of a financial level to be having a child? Only maybe inside of the United States would be exposed to this, and only a certain part of the population, But yeah, that's an interesting trap. It's like credit card debt, but for your kid.
But for your kid to possibly even inherit.
And then
one
you
day.
can genetically modify your child as well.
Soon TM.
I mean, pretty soon.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. What else has happened?
Well, today, or in the early hours of this morning, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up Neptune a few times is because today we had Neptune station retrograde.
Okay, for how long?
It'll be for about 3 or 4 months till the sun reaches Sagittarius,
How
so till
often?
the winter.
How often does it go retrograde?
The outer planets, so anything past Mars, so Jupiter, Saturn, and beyond, station retrograde for a third of every year.
Define retrograde.
It's when they pause in place, get as far away from the sun as possible, and then begin moving forward again.
And
Or
so,
pause in place, go backwards in degrees in the zodiac, stop again, and then move back forward
wonderful.
through the
We've
years.
talked about conjunctions meaning a blending of energy. So when there's a conjunction, say between, we've been talking about Mars and Uranus, that there's a blending of those two energies. In a retrograde, what happens? It stalls?
In a retrograde, it stalls. We've talked a little bit about
Mm,
Mercury, so Mercury is a good archetype
sure.
for the retrograde since it happens so often.
Hmm.
And so the stall itself means that there's some sort of like pronounced announcement.
Hmm.
Uh,
Ta-da-ta-da!
exactly. And then after that occurs, re uh, it reconstitutes or redefines the space that it has already walked across.
Hmm.
And so in this case, Neptune is going to be returning past all the early degrees of Aries, probably the first degree through the fifth degree. So if you have any planets in that area, if you have any Arabic lots in that area, like those are the issues and topics you're going to be looking at. If the other thing that with all that this is kind of like as an astrologer, this is what you kind of go over for a client before you meet, is you look at what's in the degrees near the planet. Is the planet making a line of sight to the natal placement of the Neptune of the planet in question? So, like for me, my natal Neptune is in the fourth house of Capricorn and is making a square to the Neptune in Aries right now. So we would look to see at how close those would get back. Those would come back together, and then any other like natal positions that are being influenced by that planet. And so that's the storyline you kind of like look at.
So we're looking at Neptune, which Neptune is, you've described a controller of algorithms, kind of the shadowy character in
The
some ways.
spirituality, the concept
Faith?
of disillusionment,
Okay.
dissolving. Faith is a good one. The imagination, dream states,
Okay.
psychedelics.
Okay.
It's so a great way that my teacher Austin Kopic likes to talk about Neptune is that when we're getting outside of Saturn,
Uh-huh.
we're getting outside of our direct physical experience with a
Going into
lot of
the
stuff
cognitive
and
experience.
going into the cognitive supernatural experience.
Okay.
With Uranus being the first one, we get these sudden breakthroughs into our
Hmm.
reality. And that's what's great about that is that Uranus is like sometimes visible, by the naked eye. Neptune's never visible by the naked eye. In fact, in order to find Neptune,
You gotta take a bunch of mushrooms.
we noticed. Now this is great though. This is so great. In order to find Neptune, we noticed that there was a mathematical probability that it existed.
Well, yeah, because we discovered mathematics instead of finding anything. Yeah.
No, but I mean that the astronomers
Yeah.
noticed that there was something weird about Uranus's
Track. Yeah,
orbit.
yeah. It wasn't moving in the right. There had to be something influencing its orbit. I
Yeah,
understand.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's a really good example
We're
of
really just
like,
discovering things rather than inventing things, is
yes,
what I'm getting at.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. We're learning. We're always learning, not
Yes.
inventing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is always observational and realizations come from those observations and they aren't owned, though we try to say that people own them. But yeah, but this is a really good description of like how Neptune operates. Is Neptune operates in this like field where we understand something's there, but we can't
I swear it's
quite.
there.
Yeah,
It's, can't,
exactly.
it's your intuition.
We don't have the words. We have the words. We try to
Who
throw the words and they don't stick.
Mercury controls your intuition, though, doesn't it?
Uh, I would say that
Who controls your
intuition.
daemon?
Well, that's
It's a
all
bigger term.
individual.
Okay, okay, it's an individual chart. We haven't gone over our cards. You pulled a card for us.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that out,
Okay.
but I just wanted to say this, but to finish up this Neptune thing that, um, so so the way Austin likes to describe it is that Saturn lives inside of the ocean that Neptune creates.
Okay.
And then what happens is that when Saturn Neptune conjunctions happen, basically things wash up onto the shore of Saturn.
Okay.
And so you can kind of see the ring of Saturn around our solar system as this like beachfront
Uh-huh.
that Neptunian things wash up on.
Okay, so like the ocean's on the exterior of Saturn, and then
Yeah.
we're kind of inside of the land that Saturn's making.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can kind of put our little like
What
Earth.
washed up?
Well, I mean,
Treasure chest?
for me, what washed up, it was just, you know, what's been washing up. Well, I guess earlier today, I was like, you know, maybe I should just turn Celine's Gateway into a religion instead of a business.
It's gonna be a cult.
It's going to be a religion. Sure.
Okay.
You can call it a cult.
Are you
I
going
like
to apply?
yeah, I'm gonna go through I started looking up what the process is for turning.
Devin, this is how you become a cult leader. You can't do this. This is gonna be bad.
So I think the word cult gets a bad rap.
Oh wait, no, you can't say that. You have to no. Okay, why?
Well,
What do you got?
because in ancient Greece, like the whole, you know, where a lot of the astrology practice comes from, you had the cult of Apollo. You had the cult.
Okay, real quick though, pause. So you're saying that you disagree with that you think the word cult gets, but not the concept that we have in modern era cults.
Yeah, I mean, also.
Do you want to make a cult of the Golden Dawn?
No, that was an order. You know, kind of like
that's
the
why
Masons.
we're going to be different. We don't break the trademark.
That's the you know, like the Golden Dawn was an order in the same way that the Masons are an order, in the same way that the Eagles Lodge is an order,
Yeah.
like sort of a thing.
Still weird to me.
But yeah, you know, I'm just looking into it, you know, because you know, my astrology is a spiritual practice.
You skipped the cult part. So
Oh.
do you? You have to go back and tell us why you think cult isn't a bad thing.
Okay, well, first of all,
Put the mic a little higher up. It just keeps kind of sliding down. Yeah, perfect. That's wonderful. Yes.
so you know, the word cult does mean or has been used. This is the way to think about it.
Okay.
The word cult in the modern context
Uh-huh.
has been used as a way of talking about terrible things that have happened where people have been manipulated into believing a specific thing.
Yes.
Is the United States a cult?
Certain branches of it. I mean, inside of the United States, there's massive cults. My most favorite one recently, I would say, and you can get mad, is Jehovah's Witness. That's a cult in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? And that's like a really big, like mainstream thing. So that would be the broadest spectrum I could give you for my definition, right? And I could offend people by saying that, but that's like a very broad thing where there's social manipulation occurring, there's control occurring, right? That's where the broad definition. And then you come down to like the really, really acute ones, which are, you know, the guys in Texas with the guns at was it Waco?
Yeah, Waco.
Yeah,
Which
you know,
is once again an example of a highly politicized.
100%, yes. But I'm just giving you my current definition, not that it can be changed. My current definition of cult goes broad to just control dynamics inside of a larger group, be it a spirituality or another, usually using something that can't be proved empirically. And then you come down to a smaller group of, I mean, you could have a very small cult, 3 people, you know, if you really wanted to. That's my current definition. So what is the one that you are using?
Yeah, so the way, like, I agree that there have been really damaging effects of people in small groups identifying together with a spiritual belief system that causes not only like death but also psychological and sexual harm, things of that nature. Like those definitely exist, absolutely.
A lot.
However,
just like a lot.
However, cult itself, I believe, is a wounded word because that is the only way that that is our trigger association with the word.
Oh, 100%. It's got a negative connotation. It's like you say the word Hitler. No one's going to name their child Hitler.
Exactly.
You're not even gonna name your
No,
child
it's a good.
Adolf. You know what I mean? Like that's a trigger now with that name. And so, are you saying, well, we're technically sitting on chairs that have swastikas on them. Same thing. I mean, there's a trigger with the word swastika now. That's not what it meant forever. Are you trying to make kind of the same point?
Yeah, that's the same kind of point. Is like the cult of Celine's Gateway, or the religion of
Do
Celine's
not call it
Gateway.
a cult.
I
Do
won't.
not.
No, this is a good conversation to have, though. It's a good
It
conversation to
is. It
have,
is.
though, because the idea is that uh, pantheistic ways of viewing the world,
Mhm.
you know, having multiple different avenues of spirituality,
Mhm.
you know, should be explored and accessed.
Sure.
And one of the reasons why cults are, or the idea of small pockets of spiritual groups are viewed the way they are, is because they're demonized by religious structures who don't want their power usurped by having, you know, their congregation bled from them.
Sure.
And so it's ultimately a power of language, and you know, and also if you, and looking at the history of spiritual practice, you know, whether it be indigenous spiritual practice or Anglo-European spiritual
Which
practice
would
and
be,
things of
yeah.
that nature, like the way that we approach people trying to create small spiritual groups is the first question we ask is it a cult?
100% is the
And
first
then
question anybody asks.
so then the question is, why is that the first question?
Because we've been programmed that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's but yeah, so that was my version of, and then obviously this podcast, us having these conversations today, is our version of how the Neptune station retrograde in Aries is like coming through. And you know, Aries is a sign that likes to do new things or start new things or go out on their own and venture their new things. And speaking of cults, one of the things that we're seeing is the Neptune return of the foundation of the KKK.
Mhm.
Because the last time Neptune was in Aries was when the KKK was founded.
Which then there wasn't there just somebody may mention to me that not a lot of people showed up, but there was like whole videos of white supremacists on different trainways or railway systems.
Yep.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. And so it's the question becomes, you know, one of the questions for me as an astrologer, you know, looking at history, pulling things out of the history and looking at things today is like Saturn, you know, asks us always, like, is this real? Is this worthy of being real?
Florence asked me if the world was real like 4 or 5 times, and then we were sitting this weekend. Yeah, and then we were sitting at the House Rock. She's like, "It's a hologram. It's a hologram." And I was like, "It does look like a hologram." He's like, "It's a hologram. Yeah, it's so pretty. I mean, it just doesn't even look real." But yeah, continue.
But it is a hologram.
It is. That's what I said. I was like, "Yeah, pretty much." Yeah.
But and so like, you know, there's a dark, you know, there's a dark dream of the South will rise again. Is that what we're witnessing? You know, and like that's the dream of the KKK and a lot of white supremacy.
Oregon was also had like a long history of white supremacy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking about a state in the United States, but specifically, um, but specifically, Oregon was designated as a place for post Civil War Southerners to flee to,
Yeah.
and and black people weren't allowed to own land here for a long time, a lot
Really?
longer than other
Really? How
other
much longer?
states. Yeah, I don't know the date exactly, but
Probably
it was
not
it
a
was a
really long
lot
time.
long.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So I lived in Southern
There's
California.
also a bunch of millenarianism cults
Melanar.
are
What?
associated with Oregon.
Melanarianism?
Yeah, end of the world.
Okay. I didn't even know. What's the term?
It's millenarianism.
Yeah.
I think I'm saying that right.
Okay.
But the idea is that it's a spiritual group focused on the end of the world.
Okay. And that's just one group.
No, it's a concept
It's a concept.
that, just like the word cult, like
I've dealt with that a lot. Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
if the word cult blankets all of these things, then millenarianism is like a specific
Yeah,
style
I
of
mean,
cult.
I think that's why I end up I've dealt with so much of that as you go along the spiritual path. You run into people who have many extreme views in that way, especially if you're on more of like a panpsychist or just a spiritual path rather than at a certain, ordained or a certain religion. And so I see that constantly. I just didn't know there was a term for it. That's 2012,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oregon was a refugee place for that style of groups, for those style of groups. There's a
Wow.
lot of them that were founded here. Um, but yeah, so you learned something about Oregon today.
Well, no, I knew a little bit of that. I was on Southern California as well for years, and down in the Huntington Beach area is a super white supremacist area. It's much more prevalent than
Super.
it's much more prevalent than I thought it was. You run into it on a very regular basis, and you start to
Hmm.
realize that it's occurring when we live in our pockets of our little societies around the people who are a lot like us. We don't always see it,
Yeah. Yeah,
but when you
exactly.
start looking for it, you start realizing it's pretty prevalent. It's all over the place. We were getting to our card though.
Yes. Yeah. And it was funny, last time I believe it was the last episode that I pulled the card
The same one.
that was the same for my card for the
Did you do
day.
that
I
again?
did that again.
Did you? You did not.
I did.
Are
Yeah.
you lying?
No, I'm definitely not
Hold up your
lying.
right hand and say you're not lying.
I'm not lying.
You son of
You
a.
watched me
You
shuffle.
did shuffle. Can
Yeah.
I pull one and see if I pull the exact same one?
Well, you can't because I already
I
pulled
know
it.
that. So what is it?
It's the Five of Wands.
Five of Wands.
So
Okay.
the fun thing about the Five of Wands temporally,
Mhm.
like what part of the zodiac wheel it signifies according to the Golden Dawn system, um, is where Jupiter is right now in Leo.
Golden Dawn. Jupiter. So it signifies Jupiter and Leo.
Well, yeah, it's well, it doesn't. Jupiter doesn't have any like stakes in that part of Leo, but it's interesting that the card itself came out and like I was planning on talking about Jupiter and Leo today, but not for the reasons that the card showed up early this morning, and not for the reasons why I tried to just do a clear head pull when I'm doing it for the episode. But it's just funny that it came out, that
So what does it mean?
so the Five of Wands speaks of willful competition.
Hmm.
And willful competition is a style of competition that is usually less high of stakes.
I've been playing board games for days.
Yeah, board games is a good example.
I played that French bocce ball with Will.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I didn't know it's not bocce ball. It's the French version.
But so the Five of Wands displays five people that are competing to win a contest. But they're using wands, they're using staves, so they're not very lethal looking.
That's what
And-
you say. I was just saying the Harry Potter with Florence. It was very lethal.
Oh no, you spoiled it. Sorry to all the fresh listeners out there.
I
I'm
have
sure
no
our
sympathy.
audience
I have
is
no
like
sympathy.
5.
No, you should have read them
Um,
at this point. If you haven't, then you deserve it.
Even if you were just
Audible.
born. No, but the Five of Wands is a card to me that signifies a type of competition that is mostly for identity or making rank with something. It's a style of competition that's about like winning for the will of winning, and that's one of the main themes of the card too. Is like what is your premise for why you want to win, and making sure that the competition is still fun. Like this is the card that says like make sure that when you're battling for will, or when you're battling for what your desired outcome is, make sure that the end goal, the end result doesn't overshadow the event itself, and that like winning isn't the focus. That the focus is
The competition.
the competition. The focus is the end goal of winning, but like domination isn't the point. Like,
Wonderful.
so that's what the Five of Wands represents. There's a similar card on the other side of the street, in Aquarius, the Five of Swords, and that card has swords instead of wands, and that card's storyline is about being too dominant,
Mhm.
and so that's how these cards like polarize each other. It's like the Five of Wands reminds you of brotherly competition, like fun, healthy competition.
Unless you're Voldemort.
And then the Five of Swords uh, is the one where it's like you're just dominating to dominate. My favorite metaphor for the Five of Swords, to contrast, is a father who relentlessly dominates every game he plays with his
All
children.
day. No sympathy.
No sympathy.
None.
Just dunking on them.
5-year-old all day.
Yeah.
Boom.
Stealing the ball.
Spot it. Hit it.
Yeah.
I beat Florence so bad and spotted yesterday. I didn't care at all. She was talking trash. I was like, "You're going down, lady."
And then the Five of Wands is the healthy father competition where you exert the proper amount of power in order to teach the lesson that you
Don't judge me.
want to be taught. Yeah.
Yeah, it's better. It is better.
Don't judge me.
Don't judge me.
No, you're right.
We've all done it. I don't know. Florence beat me in chess the other day, a few different moments. Because I wasn't paying attention. I didn't give her enough respect. Not that I'm a good chess player at all. But she beat me in chess. And then you go, huh, okay. Well, now we have to up the competition a little bit. You know, we can't be just not paying attention, getting trounced on. But she talks crap. She says mean things to me. She makes me feel bad. She calls me bald.
She's got a competitive chart.
100%. Yeah, she's very competitive. Yeah, and then she gets really, really upset if you beat her.
Yeah, it's, you know, she's young, but it's really important to manage those highs and lows of losses. Every champion will probably tell you, not all of them, but a lot of them will tell you that like you gotta forget
just
the
losing
losses
over and over. It's just who gets up the most.
Yeah,
that's who wins. You always win if you just get up the most over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
And then
again.
sometimes you're lucky.
Well, a lot of it's luck. Everything in life is a semblance of luck.
And effort.
What? Yeah,
luck and effort.
So the equation.
You can't wake up and be a 5-time NBA champion.
So the word that I use, and you might like it because luck kind of ties into time in your concepts, which is time plus effort equals results.
Yeah.
That is the equation for life. The amount of time you put into something plus the amount of effort you're doing during that time is going to give you the result. And my entire model for life
I
is
would
that.
add timing to that.
Sure.
So effort plus time equals results plus timing.
Plus timing, sure.
Yeah.
When you extrapolate it out, though, where it kind of becomes a fun model is you can, when I was younger, I'd want to put in these massive gallant efforts on these long extended timelines. And the reality is you just can't. Life is a marathon. You just get run down and you burn yourself out. And that's where people quit. And so what's much better in my lifestyle is that you just extrapolate that same equation out because you can get a much better result if you do small time, small effort, and just keep pushing it over and over and over and over and over. It's the buffer technique. You know, you end up getting return on your investment as it starts stacking.
Yeah.
And so like 10 minutes a day is way more beneficial than 2 hours once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good way to sum up the concept of the Five of Wands is that you want to be focused on just getting better every time.
Yeah.
Instead of just
always
like
trying to
focus on the winning.
We had 3 cameras set up, people. Well, we don't have anyone to run them.
Yes.
We only have 1 camera person.
Yep.
We don't even have a camera person. It's just us.
Yeah.
You have anything else you want to go over today?
I don't think so. Oh, well, we've got as far as like things that are coming up in the future, well, first of all, we would really like to hear stories from your weekend.
Yep. If you got anything, #flipflops.
#flipflops. Send us an email at themessengers
at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're on X as well at the Messengers. And so we'll try to make sure we're posting on there. I was actually going to talk to you about getting more daily or weekly astrological content to be posting on our X account. So
yeah, we should get on Threads too because there's
same thing.
It's
going to be the same. Yeah. We're going to start posting more things.
But we're at the final quarter of the moon. So we're in the last 7 days coming up to the new moon. The new moon's going to be at the end of Cancer.
There's fairs happening during this time. Can we bring it down to my local level? What should I be looking out for on fair? If you guys don't know and you're listening along, you're not from Oregon, there's this thing called the Oregon Country Fair that is a massive art festival and music festival that's been occurring. It's not a music festival, it's an art festival that's been occurring since the 60s or 70s, right around there. And I'm going there this weekend. So lots and lots of people, lots of fun, lots of creativity. What can I be expecting from this moon at the fair?
I would be looking at... I would kind of be feeling my way to as many of the oldest people in the community as possible. See if you can get
Heck yeah.
have conversations with them,
Old
like
heads?
founders. Yeah, see if
Okay.
you can find some founders.
Sure.
This would be a great. This would be a great weekend to connect with some founders at the country fair.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, as per always, may the fire inside guide you.
May the fire inside guide you.
May you find blessings along your path, and so it is.
And so it is.